Hey team, Russ here, hope you're well. First things first, you might see a little symbol in the top corner of my screen here that says powered by StreamYard. Somewhere around this video, probably just above it, especially if you're watching in our Facebook group, there'll be a link with that StreamYard word. If you click on that, you just have to check a little box to say, yes, you're happy for your name to show up if you decide to leave a comment as we're chatting for the next 5 minutes or so. There is a little chat box there somewhere, especially in Facebook. Just put a normal chat in. It'll show up in my little post here, and I can see the comments, and I'll try and answer them if you do have any comments that you want me to address. All right, so if you're not already aware, firstly, thanks to Michael. As always, he's always on the ball, and I can't listen to the radio in the mornings, but he let me know about the interview with the Chief Commissioner of Victoria Police. So if you're applying for VicPol, you'll be very well aware Shane Patton is the Chief Commissioner. He was on the 3AW show chatting with Neil Mitchell about all things policing, but what was really interesting was there was a good discussion about police recruiting. And there's just a few notes I've jotted down here that I wanted to address, and because I have access to you guys and you share some great experiences with me, we've had some really varied experiences around the psychological interview, and that's where I want to focus a little bit for a minute. Very different feedback from everything from, look, my psych was quite friendly, it was just a normal chat, and I left feeling, okay, that was pretty easy. And others felt like they'd been interrogated and thought someone was going to come in and put a bag over their head. It was a really uncomfortable experience, and the psychologist was almost combative in their nature and their language, which is really disappointing. I don't know why anybody needs to treat somebody like that. But some other interesting things about the one-on-one psychological interview, we've got serving PSOs who are going through the switchover application process to become police officers. They get through the process and they have their own sort of special application process for that journey to swap from PSO to police. Anyway, they get through all the steps, they go and do a psych interview and they're found unsuitable. Sorry, you failed the psych interview. Go back to the office, get your gun and go back to work. I still find that bizarre that someone could be deemed not suitable for policing. My initial thought was, shit, what does that mean? Does that mean that PSO is going to be given the arse? Hey, look, we've determined now that, or we've discovered that you're not suitable anymore. Sorry, give us your gun and your badge and bugger off. That doesn't happen. They just send them back to work. So I find that quite bizarre. Another really terrible scenario, and some of you may be aware of this because it's great that you're connecting with each other, but one of our members went through the entire application process, completed everything, including the psych interview, and was on the waiting list. Now, he was on that waiting list for about 6 months and there was no offer to start at the academy. And so as you're probably aware, you generally have to do the fitness test again if you're in that situation. But he was asked to do the psychological interview again. And that second psychological interview was not as comfortable as the first one. She was far more combative. Anyway, he failed the psych interview second time. So his application was cancelled and he was invited to reapply 12 months later. So, of course, we worked together to try to bring this ridiculous situation to someone's attention to have that reviewed and obviously with a view to overturn it. And just crickets for about 5 months before eventually we started putting our foot down going, look, this is really unfair. Can we please have this reviewed? Oh, yeah, someone's reviewing it, but it's in the pile. We'll get back to you. So, of course, the 12 months has already passed and he's back in the process going through the journey again. That whole psychological interview thing just drives me friggin' batty. And they have so much power over your application. There's no way that Victoria Police would go against the psych's recommendation. If a psych said, this person's not suitable, and Victoria Police said, oh, look, we like them, and they employed you anyway, and then you went postal and shot everybody, oh boy, so they're never going to go against the psych. Now, if we go back a little step, some years ago, you wouldn't do a one-on-one psych interview unless there was some sort of blip on the radar in relation to the psych questionnaire. And as you probably heard from the chief yesterday, they might be looking at going back to that format, which would be fantastic. And when they were doing that, it didn't mean that anyone who did a psychological interview would probably end up not passing. In fact, the majority did pass. There's only a small number that didn't. And really what it became was just clarifying a couple of issues that came up in the questionnaire with the psychologist. And okay, that's fine. That all makes sense. Tick the box and off you go. So there was nowhere near as many applicants who were failing their application because of the psych interview, back 5 or 6 years ago. So let's hope they do go back to that. A couple of quick things. I tried to find it this morning. I just can't find it. But if you've been around with us for a long time, you may remember I took a photo of myself standing in front of the recruiting office, with the caption, "Nothing to see here." Well, I have to let you in on a little secret now that I've never discussed until now. And I think it's probably okay that I talk about it now. And that is that I had a phone call from the recruiting office and I went in to see them when we discussed the possibility of outsourcing the fitness testing to Prime Motion Training. So we would become the official testers of all of the VicPol applicants and tick them off from a fitness point of view. We'd give them a certificate, they'd hand that into recruiting and off we go. Very much like the exam is done now through ASA. And of course, I was very excited about that. But there was this discussion about a conflict of interest between me being the official tester and helping you guys with fitness training and programs on the side. Remember, back then, we were running sessions every week and doing our monthly fitness sessions. And so that became a bit of a discussion point. And I found that really difficult. And I wasn't prepared at that time to give up our sessions. Anyway, it didn't eventuate because the whole custody officer role came about and they were focused on that. And anyway, it didn't eventuate. But my point is that outsourcing the application process makes a lot of sense. And that would leave the recruiting staff to simply manage applicants and applications. So have you got your fitness test from whoever? Have you got your swimming certificate? Yes, you have. Have you got your ASA exam? Yes, you have. Okay, here's your questionnaire from a psychological point of view. They get it back, you passed. Great, move on. If you don't, for whatever reason, we need you to go and see a psychologist. Here's a list of ones that we've approved. Go and see one. They'll send us a report. When I get it, you can move on. So, they manage all of that stuff and simply conduct the selection panel interviews in-house, and everything else should be outsourced, and there's no reason why it can't be. And back to Michael again, you probably see a comment in our members group. That's exactly what Queensland does, and they outsource a lot of stuff. The application moves very quickly. Within a couple of months from submitting your application, you're in. So it's a really good system, and it'd be great to see VicPol do that. Just in regards to the current system, there's nothing we can do. We can only sit tight and hope that things do improve. But one thing's for sure, if they present any hoops, whatever shape, color, form they might be in, we'll do our best to jump through them. And of course, I'll do my best to help you, whatever that might be. All right, guys, well, that's probably enough. I just wanted to touch on those few things, and it was a good interview. It's hopeful that things will change. Again, as Michael mentioned, I am aware too that the recruiting guys got together from all the different states to compare notes. So that was interesting to see, and I think a positive thing. So if you have any questions or comments, whack them below. I'll address them. Otherwise, we'll shut up and get back to work. Thanks, Mike, for your question, mate. I don't mind putting applicants through the standard one-on-one psych interview. The medical interview, on the other hand, you still don't know why they put people through a medical psych. After you've passed the psych and probably the medical as well, it's almost like having another go, like biting the cherry twice. Like, why do they do that? Explanation about why they've required me to come back and do another interview has always been really vague. Yeah, mate, we've discussed your situation, Mike, and I'm still going, what the fuck? Like, this is a fantastic applicant, and they're throwing all these ridiculous, some quite unusual steps in front of you. I'm bewildered at times as to why they do some of the things they do. But yeah, that follow-up medical psych, what is that all about? Anyway, look, let's hope that all of these things that are happening, the recruiting staff from each state getting together, the chief talking about reviewing different stages, including the psych. Let's hope this all ends up being a faster, easier, smoother application for police applicants, because it just shits me, to be frank. There's some very, very good people putting their hat in the ring to apply for the police force, and they're just they're just getting turned away. Let me just jump on this one. I'm not sure who this is because you may not have ticked the little StreamYard thing. Do you think upcoming state election has anything to do with VicPol's reluctant to allocate more funds to recruiting? No, I don't think so. I mean, the budget comes out way in advance. They'll be hoping that the next government, whoever that is that's elected, will give them more cash. So I don't think that sort of thing really impacts on. They've already got the money, basically. Just this was Mike's message, which I might leave there because I think it was really terrific. I just read it out, so I won't waste your time. But yeah, look, good to see there are some things happening, like the states getting together and the chief talking about stuff. I mean, this is a good sign, but I mean, to turn the friggin' VicPol bus, I mean, it takes about 4 hours to do a 3-point turn, which is a real pain in the ass. But hey, thanks for the comments, guys. I don't want to crap on forever, but if you've got comments, I'm happy to keep crapping on forever, as you know. Hey, Beck, fingers crossed the process becomes quicker. Yeah, we need more people, absolutely. Yeah, hey, Beck, I hope you're doing well, doll. Yeah, good to see your comment. Beck's been around for 1,000 years and out there doing her thing. Another comment, someone who hasn't clicked the little StreamYard thing, but that's okay. Not just the steps, it's the gaps between. Yeah, doesn't it take forever? It gets better the second time around and it feels even longer. I thought it was getting better for many of our members the second time around and moving faster. So if it's taking longer the second time, maybe there's some individual issues going on there. Yeah, not sure. But look, I mean, that's the thing about why is it so slow? It's exactly that, mate. It's a gap between the stages. But if you could say to an applicant, there you go, there's the 4 things we need. Go do your exam, get a medical, do this, do that. You can do that as quickly as you can as an applicant, get all that shit back to recruiting so they can simply manage it and then move you along to a panel interview that would be done in-house and then your application is done. But that's a really good point about how long it takes between stages. If they're trying to manage everything, of course it's going to take forever. And unless they triple the recruiting staff numbers, it's going to be hard unless they remove certain steps or modify the application process. It's going to be hard to speed things up. So I'm very keen on the outsourcing thing. I think that's the way to go. But anyway, Mike's got a point. Hey, Shane Patton said in the interview that's they're looking at more mature, good people. Like you've got shitloads of them on the right in front of you, but the application process doesn't seem to match what he's saying. Exactly right. Yeah, look, I mean, MJ, that's a really good point. I mean, there are plenty. And you're saying, look, we'll take anyone who's mature and sensible and common sense, life experience is not necessarily a prerequisite as long as they're mature and capable. There's about 400 of those, in our group, for God's sake, just fucking get on with it, for God's sake. It's frustrating. 3 try limits is unique for VicPol too. Yeah, other states will let you keep trying. And why not? Why not keep trying? I think VicPol's attitude on that, Mike, is that, dude, it takes up a lot of our time and resources to process an application. So, get out of the way. You're chewing up too much time. But so what? I mean, so what? If they're improving each time, great. But without feedback, how the fuck are you supposed to improve? But again, if they were able to outsource, you want to have another go? Sure. Here's all the forms again. Go get your exam done, your medical, do a psych interview if necessary, take the questionnaire, get your fitness score, do all that, send it back to us. And if it looks right, we'll tick it off and we'll invite you. If that was the process, an application or an applicant could do that 100 times. That's a really good point. So, yeah, interesting. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much for the comments, guys. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at a computer with a little blue camera. I don't know if anyone's watching, but the comments are helpful. So thank you for doing that. I'll bugger off now because it looks like the comments are drying up. But look, anyway, as I said, to wrap up, good to see that there's some noise in this space, which I hope happens quickly so things can improve for you guys. If not, it may be better for those coming along in the next wave, but let's hope they get on with it fairly quickly. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for your time. Have a great day. Have a good weekend. I'm always here, so please send through emails if you need to. I can't answer them all personally. Mark and Joel help me a lot answering emails, and Kerry jumps in when it gets really busy as well. But if you get stuck, please sing out. I'm just about to jump on a Zoom call with one of our members who's having a terrible time at the academy. and is really quite upset about what's going on, and she desperately needs some help. So I'm about to jump on a caller and help her with that. All right, guys, looks like the comments might have dried up. Thanks for your time. Whoever that person was, you're more than welcome. Have a great weekend, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers. Bye. And you should be at work. Get off the computer. Get back to work. What's this button do? I think that's some music. You can tell I don't know how to use this thing.